Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
With the sun and it burns until the day.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Friday morning. You know, the good thing about you guys having your own theme song is that when I upload these things to YouTube, I don't get a note from YouTube that says you're violating somebody's copyright.
That's right. That's my copyright.
This is Horse Sense with the Equine Alliance of Marion County, and your hosts today are Mark Shopper, who you just heard on there, Tammy Gant, and Barbara Feitos. They'll be talking about the Kentucky Derby today. Good morning to all three of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Kentucky Derby is when? What is it?
First Saturday in May, May 3rd.
Oh, coming up.
Since 1875. It's been the first Saturday in May.
Wow. And it's such a short event, right? It's such a big thing, but such a short event.
The world's most exciting 2 minutes in sports, they say. It's a little over 2 minutes, but, we'll take liberty and say 2 minutes.
Have you guys ever gone to the Kentucky Derby? Yes? You have?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I've never been. I've never been in person, no.
So what's it like? I mean, you wait for this big 2 minute moment, and then you just go home, or you have beer, or what happens?
Well, it's kind of like if you keep up with, I don't mean to jump on Tammy's toes so she can answer. If you keep up with football, it's like saying it's like saying the Super Bowl is like, well, okay, so is that all there is to it?
For 2 minutes.
Lot more, yeah. And you mentioned the drinks. There is a drinking element to it, of course, because everyone knows the mint juleps. And the mint juleps are very interesting because it started out in 1938. They had tea glasses that were in the dining room at the racetracks, but people started stealing them, and so the next year they realized they had no tea glasses, so they decided, why don't we sell them? So added 25 they're putting me on the little video there. So they added 25 cents to the charge of admission, and then you got your glass. So people said, well, I'm getting my glass now, but what am I getting in it? And so they added the mint julep, they added some color to the glasses, and they sold 3 times as many glasses in 1939 than they did the previous year. So now in 2014 they'll sell on track alone over 700,000 glasses or 70,000 glasses, and then now you can purchase them nationwide. It wasn't until 1976 that you could buy one off site. So very exciting about the glasses and the drink that comes in them.
Wow, so that's a coveted item to have, right?
And maybe you have enough money that you can buy the $8,000 mint julep in glass.
I don't think so.
It's the rarest mint julep in the world, and I'm sure Barbara and I would enjoy seeing what that would be like.
Not Mark? Mark wouldn't like that, huh?
No, Mark, I don't think he's into mint juleps.
No, they're pretty sweet.
So is it a big betting day? I mean, do a lot of people bet on the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, they'll take over $100 million in handle from the Kentucky Derby.
Wow.
And I mean, it is one of the world's most legendary horse races. So people worldwide aspire to win the race, and people have it on their bucket list to go. I have at least 4 friends that have said, I know you were associated with the Kentucky Derby at one point. How can I get to the Kentucky Derby? So it's a big dream from a breeder's perspective. What is the answer to that?
What is the answer?
Yeah, you can go to the Kentucky Derby. You can go on the cheap, get $40, get in the infield, and have a great experience there. Maybe never see a horse, but have a wonderful thing and say you're at the Kentucky Derby, or you can get nice box seats and spend a couple $100 and be in there. Maybe a few people can get on Millionaire's Row where you're.
Is it the only race of the day?
No.
They have a full card.
Okay.
They actually have 2 days. It's become a 2-day event where they have the Kentucky Oaks on Friday, which is the ladies' day. So Barbara represents that with her wonderful fashion. And then the next day is the Kentucky Derby day. So they have some of the world's best horses competing on Friday and Saturday. So it's become a 2-day affair, and it starts very early. The gates open like at 9 a.m. They take the bets the day before, so you can go over to OBS here in town if you want to bet the Derby on Friday. So then you don't have to worry about it on Saturday. You can just sit at home and watch it, or come to the Derby party here locally and have a good time with it.
And what's the Roses part? The run? It's called Run for the Roses? Is that the right
Yeah, and
nickname?
Yeah, and what's interesting is that historically in the race in the 1800s, early 1900s, people would bring their own flowers. So when their horse won, they would present their horse with these flowers and take pictures in the winner's circle. So what was interesting, depending on the wealth of the people that owned the horse, sometimes one horse named Allendale in 1924, it's hilarious, he actually had carnations and ferns that they had picked up at the track. They stole them from the planters so they could present their horse with something. And then others started to bring roses. And so how it became the Run for the Roses was a sports writer, Damon Runyon, noticed that there were some roses at the track, and the track president decided women loved roses because he'd seen them given out at events. So the president didn't know how to incorporate it in the track, and then people started thinking, oh, well, we could make a blanket of roses. And so by the 30s, they actually had the first picture taken with a horse named Burgoo King that was the blanket you see today, which is over. Burgoo.
Burgoo King.
Not Burger King, but Burgoo King. He was known for Kentucky Burgoo.
Okay.
And which is a famous dish there. And so the horse ended up wearing this blanket of roses, which is 500 roses, the darkest that they can find, and they're stitched on a blanket. And it's like Betsy Ross style.
Oh, wow.
Hand stitched.
Oh, wow.
And a woman did it for many years, then her daughter did it, and then in the 70s, Kroger grocery stores took over, and today you can watch them do the blanket. It takes them about 3 days, and they work day and night. They have a big plate glass window where you can come to the grocery store in Louisville and watch them stitch the blanket.
So while I was displaying my ignorance about the 2 minutes, there's a lot more to this, and your show, once again, brings us more in line with why people who are already into it don't get why we don't get it. So this helps us get it. This puts us on the same page, more or less.
Well, I think maybe they could speak a little. I think a little bit of it is that you don't have to be at the Kentucky Derby or know anything about a horse, but understand, I know it's the Run for the Roses. I know the ladies wear fancy hats. There's all these traditions that surround it that make it what it is, that made a really cultural icon. The twin spires that are part of the scene when you see the photo taken, the singing of My Old Kentucky Home. So there's all these traditions that wrap around it. So when you say, is it 2 minutes or just one race? It is, but it's more than that. It is, but it's not, yeah. It's more than that, yeah. It's like you said, the Super Bowl transcends a Super Bowl and goes into those commercials.
But this is the first of the three big races?
Well, it's the first of the Triple Crown.
Okay.
But they spend their 2-year-old year prepping for this race.
Okay.
So you can start following these horses in their 2-year-old year, and there's a lot more than just these 20 or 21 that can make this race. There's a lot more that are trying to qualify. So that's what I was saying about Super Bowl.
Gotcha.
You spend the whole season trying to qualify.
Okay.
So they spend their whole 2-year-old life and part of their 3-year-old life early in the season from January to now trying to qualify to get in this race.
So how is the money made? Is this a fair question? If I bet on a horse and I win, it seems like that person's losing money because they're paying it to me.
It's called, it's different than a casino. When you win, you take it from the house to the casino. Horse racing is called parimutuel wagering, which in Greek means, or in Latin means, para means wagering amongst yourselves. So you're betting with other folks. So one day when you win a lot of money at the track, then you basically have taken the money from the losers in that pool.
You got my money.
Yeah, you got his money, maybe my money and maybe Barbara's money. So the day that you do well, you're taking it from the parimutuel pool. So how the track makes money is they just take a percentage, just like a bank commission. So they're taking a commission out of it, depending on the type of bet, will depend on the amount of takeout that the track takes. But the rest is all going back to the bettors and back into those pools so that the winners, win something. And then the racetrack hopes people win. The reason why is the more you win, the more you churn the money. You bet again and they get a transaction fee. So they want people to win and have money. So it's to the racetrack's benefit for folks to come out winners, not only just because it's a good feeling and you take a little money home in your pocket, but it actually in the system works very well for what they call the churn.
Okay, so and the horse owner, how does that person horse and get money?
They have what's called a purse, and the reason it historically is called a purse is because they had a little silk pouch that carried the winnings that was going to be given to the owner at the track. So in the winner's circle, they were presented literally with a silk purse in England.
Wow.
And so they call it the purse today as a throwback, but essentially that's the winner's money. And so the owner of the horse gets the money, and then also percentage goes to the trainer and jockey. And depending on the race, depending on the conditions, will depend on what that amount might be. The Kentucky Derby now is, and I might be off because they've changed it, but I believe it's now a $2 million race. So the total is $2 million. That's broken down into the owner gets it, and then the top finishers, and down from there. And so, but what's exciting, and what Mark was talking about a little bit, is about these 2-year-olds. So it's just like Super Bowl. You follow your players, just like people with the NCAA tournament. You're following certain teams, and you've done this all along, and you're making your picks. And it's no different with the horses. And actually, there's 2 Florida horses we've been following since last year. They were champions for FTBOA as Florida bred.
Is this a handicapper tip?
These are 2 tips that we're going to go with. The horse named Dance with Fate, that's having just gotten to the top points. And when he talked about qualifying, there's a point system now for the horses to get in the Kentucky Derby. So the top 20 get to race, and there's 24, like 4 also eligibles that might, if another horse, when the race comes, is not going in. So Dance with Fate, I'm going to tell you now, and another one, Wildcat Red. And Wildcat Red, his owner or his breeder is the nicest guy ever. He is wonderful, and this is his first big horse, and so he wanted to go down to Gulfstream Park, and they were sold out for Florida Derby Day recently, and so we got him in and made arrangements, and then his horse performed spectacularly. So Wildcat Red is peaking at the right time, and so is Dance with Fate. So our 2 Florida breds in the 20-horse field are looking good.
So you and they're from here, from Marion County? Or?
They're Florida bred, and I can't recall their farms off the top of my head, but Mr. Moreau's farm is here, so I'm going to say that they're definitely Marion County horses. Wow. And most of the horses in the Kentucky Derby have gone through Marion County, because a lot of them train here in Florida, and a lot of them race in Florida to prepare for the Derby, because we don't lose a lot of days because of weather. So it's
does the jockey
place.
Get paid? He gets paid, but does he get paid more if he wins?
Yeah, there's a sliding scale. So if you're the winning jockey, you get more than the guy that got second or third or fourth. And even if you're last and lose, you get a mount fee just for performing the service. And that usually at most tracks is $40. So it's a difference of, $100,000 or $40.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
In the Derby, the mount fee, I'm sure, for losing amount is more, but yeah.
Wow, I mean, if it is, I don't know if our listenership is like me, where I just learned a whole lot in a little bit of time, or if they were all way ahead of me on this one. So, do we need to say anything before we take phone calls? I know the phones have been ringing. We've got a lot of questions out there. If you have a question, by the way, the number is 622-WOCA, 622-9622, if you'd like to call in a question. That's the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. There was a call. Now it disappeared. Now that I'm asking for calls, it disappeared. So the Triple Crown refers to the 3 races, and the first of the 3 is the bigger of the 3, right?
Well, the Kentucky Derby is the world's most legendary horse race. That's the first Saturday in May, and it's 1.25 miles. The second leg of the Triple Crown is the Preakness Stakes, which is 2 weeks later in Baltimore, Maryland, at Pimlico Racecourse. It's 1.16 miles race, so a little bit shorter race. So what it does, the first race, the horse has to overcome a crowd of horses and be a true champion and get that distance, because that's a long distance for a horse this early at 3 years
and
old to run.
And a huge field.
And also,
they've never raced in that much company before. Ever.
Exactly.
Oh, really?
And the crowd plays a big factor. Over 100,000 people will be there cheering, and sometimes that can be overwhelming for the horse, the amount of people that surround him before the race, and the whole activity of the press during the week at their barns. Right. They overcome all of that. Then they go to the Preakness for the second leg. The third leg is the Belmont Stakes, and it's called the True Test of a Champion. It's because it's 1.5 miles, and it's at Elmont, New York. And a lot of times that really tests that horse if he's going for the Triple Crown, because new horses come in to challenge him. It is one of the longest races in the United States that a horse will actually race in his career, and it's now the horse.
There's no race that I know of that's longer than that.
Oh, really?
Now in the United States.
In the United States, 1.5 miles.
How many horses have won all 3 of them?
11 horses have won the Triple Crown.
Oh, wow.
And we're proud to say Florida has the last Triple Crown winner, affirmed in 1978.
Oh, even I knew that name. Okay.
Affirmed. And what he was,
What year was that?
1978.
That's how long ago that was? Wow.
He was ridden by an 18-year-old jockey named Steve Cawthon. It's a wonderful story one day that will be made into a movie, I'm sure. And the horse that finished second in every one of the races to Affirmed was a horse named Alydar. And each time he got closer and closer, but he never caught Affirmed, and so Affirmed ended up being Triple Crown winner.
We hit the industry hit a stride right through the 70s with some really good horses. Secretariat was Triple Crown winner. That was 73,
Okay.
I think. And then, and then Alydar, like she said, run second. So had either one of those horses been born 1 year to the other, either side of that would have been a different.
Yeah,
we'd have had another
Yeah.
Triple Crown winner.
And then you had in 77 Seattle Slew. So the 70s was like, wow, you had 73, 77, and then 78. And what's interesting is when Secretariat won in 73, it hadn't been since 1948 that a horse had won the Triple Crown.
Oh, wow.
So when Secretariat won, he was one of, I think it's the only thing in history, he was Time Man of the Year. He was on Newsweek, the same issue, and Sports
They made a horse
Illustrated.
the Man of the Year?
All, yes,
Oh, wow.
yes.
Oh, wow.
All three magazines that were big at magazines at that moment in history, he was on the cover of in the same week. I don't think even a president could say that, maybe.
It's funny. So when a horse wins a race like that, and the general understanding, I guess, that most people have is that then you can also make money with the stud fee. Is that right? Or not always?
Yeah.
Help me out with that. Is it always a male that wins?
No, actually,
No?
there have been
Okay.
3 ladies in history that
So
have
couldn't
won.
you get a fee for that too? I mean, couldn't...
Yeah, when the horse retires, obviously, if he's won American Classics, he's very popular in the breeding industry. A good example is a horse named Smarty Jones. He won the Kentucky Derby, won the Preakness, was beaten, got second in the Belmont in a heartbreaking race. I mean, he was incredible. He was a champion. The other horse that beat him was that whole Test of a True Champion, a mile and a half, a horse named Birdstone. But Smarty Jones is a wonderful sire, and he actually goes to South America and stands stud there also. So, and we've had a number of Kentucky Derby winners that are standing worldwide, which means that they're breeding in other countries. So, yeah, it's great for them to win that because that's a feather in their cap of a major race. Yeah.
The phone lines are open if you would like to call. I don't know if we had a phone issue or not, but I saw several calls on here and then they just went away at once. So I apologize for that. It wasn't me, but I think the computer may have dumped you all, and I apologize for that. But go ahead and call. This is a good time. The number is 622-WOCA. And if you have a question about the Kentucky Derby especially, which is what we're focusing on today, right?
Also, just as a brief commercial, we have some social media stuff. So if you have questions during the week, would like to post those, if you'll put those either on our Facebook page, or we do have a Twitter page as well. Twitter is at HorseSenseOcala.
Okay.
So just, give us a tweet, and then we'll look at them through the week, and then we come back, if you think of something after we go off the air or in the middle of the week, and we'll start trying to address some of those questions as well.
And actually, your show makes it more fun. It's kind of like anything else. If you know what's going on, it's more fun.
Yeah, and that's the hope of it.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
why the Derby has done such a great job, because you can go and just wear your fancy hat and have a wonderful time there and never bet a horse for the Kentucky Derby. Or even here, we're going to have a party at the Hilton on the first Saturday in May. It starts at 4 o'clock. Get your tickets in advance. It's 150 people, and it will sell out.
How much are the tickets?
The tickets are $50 for the general public or $40 for members of the FTBOA. And so you want to go get those tickets early, either at the Hilton or at FTBOA. And it's going to be wonderful. You get a free souvenir Derby glass. So you're going to get that
Anything in
traditional
it?
glass. You can order that if you'd like. There's several. We're actually doing a little competition because the mint julep's a Kentucky drink. But here in Florida, we've decided our version for our Kentucky Derby is the mojito. So you can have the choice of the mojito,
what
the
is that?
Florida style Derby. A mojito is a drink that's come from Latin America, and it's got a mint in it. It's got
Okay,
some of the same
okay.
flavors, very sweet. So Mark may not enjoy the drink.
Actually, mojitos are pretty good. We have a special recipe at our house.
Here we go. Now
right,
it's-
It's a beach drink, but it's rum-based instead of whiskey. The mint julep is a whiskey-based drink, and the mojito's rum.
Okay. We do have a phone call. Good morning. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air.
Yes, that was another great horse from Marion County that I hardly hear anything about. His name was Carryback, owned by Kathy Price at, I forgot, the Sandy some horse farm on 475A. He almost won the Triple Crown. He won 2 legs of it. That was a great horse, too.
Yes.
You're right, 1961 Carryback. Actually, 4 Florida horses have won the Kentucky Derby, and Carryback has some memorabilia over at our museum, which is located at the FTBOA offices on Airport Road over at 801 Southwest 60th Avenue. So I'm glad to hear there's a Carryback fan, because he's a horse that a lot of people, because it was in the 60s, a lot of people didn't, see as much exposure for the horses on TV then, and he was an incredible athlete.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't think that we get all the insight. Oh, maybe I'm just not paying attention to it. Do we have a publication or more than one in Ocala? There was one called Wire to Wire. Is that still around?
Yeah, our company has a profit section, which is called Florida Equine Publications. So
Okay.
we have Wire to Wire, which is a daily that's incredible because it's distributed in Marion County because it's the heart of the breeding industry here in Florida. And then we do a monthly publication called The Florida Horse, which is an award-winning magazine that comes out monthly, and it's great, and it's distributed nationally, and it has features like that, history features. In fact, Carryback was in there a few months ago as a flashback and talking about the 60s, and so you'll see a lot of history interwoven along with current results of how Florida breds are doing nationally and internationally.
Oh, wow. And you do have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for waiting.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Do any horses ever get transported by air to, like, say, to the Kentucky Derby or to other big races?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes. In fact, there's a company that ships out of Ocala called Tex Sutton, and the horses, it's very cute. They go on the plane. Sometimes they walk up on the plane like they would walk into their trailer, and then others are actually put into a crate that looks like a box stall, and they lift them up into the air things. And what's funny is as they put them in the planes, they're wearing like little helmets that look like old-time football helmets, except that their ears stick through to protect them. The bumpers protect them when they're traveling.
Oh, wow.
But the horses that actually go through the sale next weekend, some of those horses will be sold internationally, and they'll take their first flight out of OBS here, and they'll go on to where they're going to settle. Yeah, that's a good question.
A lot of these horses.
Would they have to like tranquilize a horse if it didn't really behave itself to kind of calm it down?
It's just like people. Some people travel better than others. Horses are the same way. There's some horses that are very good travelers and some that are not. So sometimes they can give them, just like you might give your dog on a flight. Working with the veterinary's care, they could give them something. Yeah, but most horses actually do travel very well as long as they're in a familiar environment. So if they're in a what to them perceived to be a stall, but it's a movable stall that's going on to an airline, a lot of times they adapt very quickly and very well, and then usually there's someone familiar with them that stays with them in that area to make sure that the horses are comfortable.
And
Okay,
for the horses
program,
that
thanks very
fly,
much.
You're welcome.
for the horses that fly, it's not usually a one-time experience. Once these horses start making the track and or have a good performance record, then they shuttle around, and it's pretty routine.
So you're used to it?
Sure, as the horse gets used to it, that's just the way they get around.
Well, it's coming up. It's the first Saturday in May.
It's the first Saturday in May. Our Derby party is going to be at the Hilton here locally. It's sponsored by the FTBOA and the National Thoroughbred Racing Association. There is a charity aspect to the event. So the Florida Parade of Retired Equine Champions Charity, which is they're trying to build a barn over at the horse park in addition to the big, wonderful facility they're building now. And this barn would house champions from different breeds that people could come and visit in the horse capital of the world.
Oh, that is cool.
It's the tail end of that. So it's 4 to 7 Derby Day at the Hilton. Come get your free glass and be sure to RSVP in advance.
And wear a fancy hat. It's for the ladies only, right?
Yeah, it's for everyone.
Really? The guys wear fancy hats
The
too?
men will wear fedoras, and now they do the silly hats with horses on them.
Oh, really?
And then they'll also, the new thing for the men, so you might go and get ahead of the fashion here, is the bow tie. This year you're going to see the bow tie.
Oh,
Not just
really?
the bow tie. When you watch the Derby telecast, watch the men with the striped bow tie. That's the latest fashion. I'm predicting it here first.
Mark, I'm not in on this one. I don't know.
That's a whole new knot. I don't know how to tie those.
No, that's a skill.
That's a whole new knot. I know how to do the other
I'm
one.
also going to predict a Florida bred's going to win the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
I am going to
I
predict
agree.
that, and I really think this could be our year for a Triple Crown winner, too.
Wow, you did a great job, Tammy. Thank you for educating us about the Kentucky Derby and getting us excited. All of you do this every week. Do we need to mention sponsors? We got about 20 seconds left.
We sure do. Very quickly. We have, of course, Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association, the wonderful folks at Images by DeMarco, our wonderful photographers, Infinite Natural Day Spa, Elmara, Arabians, and our newest sponsor, American Payroll and Benefits. And without them, we wouldn't be here. So a big shout out, thank you to them.
All right, thank you. What a wonderful show you bring us every Friday. And there's the horse right there. Thank you. Barbara, Mark, and Tammy, thank you.
Thank you. See you next week.
We'll be right back.
Come on, follow me. We'll make it through.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. The captain of the South Korean ferry boat that sank Wednesday, now the focus of the investigation. Authorities seeking a warrant for his arrest, saying a third officer, not the captain, was at the helm when it began to sink. This passenger recounting the panic on board.
The ship suddenly tipped to one side. They